All right, back again. This will be the second German impulse on December 16th. And I looked over my cards. I believe what I'm going to do is first, again, once I've expended 5 points, the Allies will get an impulse. First, I'm going to activate the LXVI. And then going to use the assault coordination combat tactic. So, more specifically, these peach colored will be activated. And we're going to use assault coordination, which means any friendly units that are next to the piece being attacked can contribute. So let's just get this little, if we read the assault coordination, attacker only. All friendly units adjacent to the enemy unit participate in the attack, even if not activated. So yes, they were activated with my last impulse, but they're not being activated with this. You can call them in for reinforcements or assault coordination, regardless of when they were last activated. We're going to bring this little tank piece, armored piece up also. I could expend 4 movement points to go to here, or 2 movement points to go to here via the road. I think I'm going to go ahead and double him up there. We will have flank attack because we're attacking from more than 2 hexes that are not adjacent. He does have an improved position. I would like to knock that out, but I don't have a combat engineers. And this other piece, I think I'm just going to leave sitting there. He really cannot do much help. Okay. So now that we're past the first impulse of the day, now the Allies are entitled to draw a card for a potential combat tactic. So from this draw pile here, we will flip over. Oh, goodness. Okay, that's fine. So we'll use the combat tactic. It's the 16th. They would get combat engineers, which as the defender, an allied engineer as defender, place an IP marker on the defending units. Do not place if you're in a town or city or if an IP is already present. So they already have an IP. So they did not get any additional benefits. The minimum chit draw is 2. So we'll pull those at first. And we have defender or attacker artillery on both. No one has those. So determine our maximum draw is going to be 3 because we have 3 full strength units. 2 more. That makes it 5. We have at least 1 elite. That makes it 6. We have 1 that has more than 2 steps. That makes it 7. And we're using a card that makes it an 8th chip. I'm going to go ahead and pull all 6 additional to make it 8. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. Now I'm pulling these out. I'm just lining them up just to get the count. If one of them was blue, that would mean the next chip and everything in my discard pile goes back in the bin before I continue pulling them. All right, so all of these will count. Wow, no artillery. Imagine if we had artillery going on there. Unsupplied or dispersed, nope. There is not a defender adjacent. All right, large attack, allied air power. This is a large attack because we're using 7 or more total chips. The terrain, whoops, wrong one. They're on broken terrain. That one does not apply. It's probably going to be at least 3-1 odds. So we've got 12, 14, 19-3. So we have at least 3-1 odds. And we also have at least 19-3, 18-3, 6-1. All right. So that 4-1. So we have 3 chips that will apply. There's going to be 3 hits on the defender. All right. So hit number 1 is removal of the improved position. Likewise, if it was in a city or a town, the city or town would absorb the first hit, although there's no tile to remove. So just as a reminder, I'm going to shove 1 up, meaning that hit's been taken. Now we have 2 hits, and there's 2 hits, 2 points on the piece, those 2 white dots. And we will go ahead and use just a second. This again. So we're going to fall down to point B. If hits is greater than or equal to the steps in defending unit, retreat 1 hex. Okay, so in the rules, the first rule is into a hex not in enemy zone of control. Hexes in the enemy zone of control include this one all the way around to this one. This is the only hex not in enemy zone of control. Therefore, that will be retreating 1 hex, and that takes care of the second hit. Okay, back to the rules, because we have 1 more hit to take. It is not retreated 2 hexes. 1 hit compared to 2 steps, no. If losing a step would cause the defending unit to exert no zone of control, retreat another hex. Okay, what that means, if he takes a hit, it now has a bracketed number. A bracketed number does not exert a zone of control unless it is in a town or city, it is not, or if it is stacked with another piece that has a bracketed number. So 2 bracketed pieces would count as having zone of control. So this does not have zone of control if it took a hit. So back to here. So if losing a step would cause the defending unit to exert no zone of control, retreat 1 hex. So since it would lose zone of control, we have to retreat again. We're going to be looking at here, 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 because those 3 hexes are not in an enemy zone of control, which would be these 3 hexes. So on the rules here, into a hex, not an enemy zone of control. So we have 3 choices. Within the priorities, retreat into any terrain. However, retreat across unbridged river or into forest, not entered via road, only if no other hex available. Notice here, of his 3 choices, we have forest, we have a bridged river. So that's the only option that's good. So that'll be his second, or his third hit this turn. He has retreated 2 hexes. So if you retreat 2 hexes, you become dispersed. So we will put a dispersed marker. So while dispersed, he does not exert his zone of control. And if there's combat on him, there's some other little rules that will take effect. So he did not get weaker, but he retreated 2 hexes, and right now he is dispersed. My attacking pieces involved can advance. Armored can typically advance 2, but let's look at the rule here. A 2 hex advance. So if the defender conducted a 2 hex retreat or was eliminated, so he did a 2 hex retreat, the first hex must be the vacated hex. Unit must stop if it crossed an unbridged river. The second may be any hex, but when deviating from the path of retreat, you may not move from enemy-controlled hex to another, may not cross an unbridged river, may not enter a forest unless along a road. So, we could follow him. Let's see, he was here. I could move a piece here, and then only one piece can cross an unbridged river. I'm going to, and also when you move, never mind. Yes. We'll be doing a check on this position. I'll explain that in a moment for a roadblock. Let me look at these pieces. Okay, I'm going to take for starters, we're going to start with this armored piece. Now, since he moved next to a road with a position number on it that is not in an enemy zone of control, I'm going to check the rule here because I'm not sure about something. And I will show. So we have what's called a roadblock check. So roll a die when a German unit moving, advancing, or reinforcing enters a hex adjacent to an empty in-supply Allied position hex with a road that is not adjacent to any unit other than the moving unit. Exceptions: position has a hold value of 5 or 6, or is adjacent to a lone Allied unit with a bracketed combat strength. Okay, so the fact that that piece is dispersed did not fit those rules. So therefore we don't need to roll for that. So that was the first position. This is going to be the second. The second. I'm going to take one of these. That's one, and then I'm going to cross. That's his second. I'm going to go ahead and advance one with him, but I'm going to actually, I can only cross that as a second hex if I'm not deviating. Let me think about that. I can't because only one can cross an unbridged river. So I'm going to leave him in place. So I've got the option to probably move him this way on a later turn. And this one, I see no benefit of advancing him to here. I'll leave him where he is. That way he can contribute more easily on attacking either of these pieces. All right. So that's it actually. This one did not move. Keep in mind, if you've activated pieces and they do not move, you're entitled to put an improved position on them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I often forget. There's no harm in doing this, but that gives him an extra layer of protection in the event he's still sitting there and the Allies would ever attack him. All right. And the 2 cards I used were these. They add up to 3 points. So we have activation, we did combat, we built an improved position on a piece that was not involved in combat or that did not move. And our command value is less than the Allied command level, which is 5. Just as a reminder, Allied command level rest of day is 5, and we have just exerted 3. So I will toss those in my discards. And my other, let me put these chips in my used pile. Too bad we didn't have artillery involved. The other one I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the LVII, 58th Panther Corps. And along with that, I'm probably going to use this card for a combat tactic. So with these, I'm going to attack that piece. So we're going to have a improved position on an infantry. Those are already where I need them to be. I'm going to add this armored to it. And with this other card, I'm going to use a combat any tactic. So I can use any tactic on the list. I'm going to use reinforcement. And I'm going to use this stack here. So for movement, he's next to an ally, so it takes 1 extra point to move away. So on this road, it's going to cost me 2. 1 to move away, 1 to break away, and a second is the movement down the road. And then it's going to cost me 3 points to enter the woods. Yeah. Woods cost 3 for mechanized. So once again, I'm going to have a flank attack on an improved position. All right. So, Allies gets to draw a card. Okay, their combat tactic. Well, first off, we would look and see if it was if the card matched the unit. It does not. This is the 8th Corps. The card is for the 5th. If those match, there'd be a chance we could deploy another piece to help. It would be an undetected Allied defender. But the Corps does not match, or the division. So the combat tactic is reinforced battle, which, if we read it, if there's a piece within valid illegal movement that can reach this position, it could contribute. This is the closest piece. For him to move to here, he cannot move from here to here because he's moving from a zone of control to zone of control. He would have to go here first. So it would be 1 point to break contact, plus it would cost 2 points to enter the forest. Forest costs 2. So that would be his full movement expenditure of 3 points. So he could not reach him. The dispersed piece is not allowed to contribute. This piece cannot reach it. So he's going to get no reinforcements. He's not going to benefit from that card. Just put it in the discard. Okay. There will be a minimum of 2 chits drawn. I'll pull 2 out. All right. 5 to 1, 3 to 1, 2 to 1. All right, let's see what the odds are. So it's 3 defending. Attacking, we've got 3, 6, 10, 14, 16, 19, 23, 27 to 3. We have 9 to 1 odds. So that will apply. Nuts. There's also an attacker hit. So if the defenders were taking 2 hits right now, that would mean the improved position would get removed, and then they would retreat to here. And that would be it. They would still be at full strength. I want to press on because I would rather eliminate that guy and create a big break in the line. So the maximum draw is, there's 3 pieces, 2 pieces, 3. So that's 6, 8. We have elite involved. That makes it 9. Okay. We have this card, which makes it 10. So I could draw up to 8 more. I want to draw at least 5 more because that makes it, it qualifies it as a large attack. We've got 2 hits on him now. 3 more hits would eliminate him. The IP, and then 4 more hits will just the numbers mean he would be gone. I'm going to draw 6 chips. How's that? I'm going with 6 more, that is. 1, whoops. The first one was blue. That means everything in here goes back in. We're going to give it a new shape. All right. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. All right. We had 9 to 1 odds, right? So there's that one qualifies. There's no air power. Oh, it is large attack. So that's why I wanted at least 7 drawn. Defender is not elite. Defender is not green. We don't need that one. Forest, woods, or broken. We're in broken terrain. That's unfortunate. Attacker elite or attacker green. So the P again means this side takes priority. None of the attackers have white dots. We do have attackers with red dots. So elite. And the last one, nuts. Okay, that one also applies. So we're going to be losing, we have 2 attacker hits. So on the defensive side, we've got those 2 offset. So let's just shove them up there. And then the improved position would take one of these, and then there's 4 more defender hits. So if you were to go through the rules, 4 hits would, essentially be, you can retreat 2 spots to take 2 hits, and then you have to take 2 hits against your piece, so you'd flip him over, flip him again, and he's gone. So that's why 4 is an automatic elimination. This was the one. So this piece joins the other eliminated unit piece, and that's also worth 1 victory point. okay? Because for every 2 Allied units eliminated, you get 1 point. Remove the improved position. I'll put all these, I have to take 2 attacker hits for that and that. So we can do this one of 2 ways. One is we have to take 2 hits. You cannot take both hits in the same stack. So we would have to select 2 pieces that have to be flipped. Or the other option on attackers is you can take your first hit on a piece, then you could take up to 2 more hits if you disperse all the rest of the pieces remaining, and then after that, any remaining hits have to go against a piece. So we could take 1 hit and disperse all 3 stacks, or I could take 2 hits. I think now advancing is pretty critical right now. We don't want the Allies to start plugging this hole up. So let's take I'm going to flip that piece over for 1 hit, and I'm going to flip this piece over for the other hit. So I've taken my 2 hits. That means I can advance. If I had dispersed everyone, then I would not be able to advance. Since it is the first day of the game, the 16th. Just want a refresher here. Throughout December 16th, Allied engineers do not blow bridges, which is good because there's a bridge here that on any other day, if we move next to it here, we would have to roll to see if that bridge got blown up. So today it will not get blown up. And these are position hexes on a road, but we're not moving next to them, so we're not going to have to roll for a roadblock check. Pop that little rule back up here. All right. So roll die when advancing, blah, blah, blah. Enters a hex adjacent to an empty and supplied that is itself not adjacent to any other unit than the moving unit. Okay, so this hex is going to be adjacent to another piece, as is this one. So we're not going to have to do roadblock checks because this is adjacent because of our other move. And since there is a bridge there, so only 1 piece could cross that on the 2 hex advance, because only, remember, on day 1, again, a day 1 rule. Only 1 German unit may use a given bridge in a single activation. Others may cross as if crossing an unbridged river. All right. Let's go ahead and move one of these over. So that's my 2 hex advance because the piece was eliminated. And again, only 1 piece can cross the river. I actually said others can cross it as if it's an unbridged. Let me think about that. I'm going to say I cannot do that on my advance. These same pieces, so this piece, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, could potentially swing around and help down here. I would have to do roadblock checks. Could also use him to potentially come up and take a victory point city or town. These pieces, I'm going to go ahead and advance this stack here and then here, because they could then contribute in a attack on that. And this one, we will simply advance him that one hex. And I cannot advance the tank into the forest because the rules say you can't go into the forest on your second move unless there's a road. Okay. I think that was successful. So then these two cards get tossed. These add up to, so my other ones were a total of 3 points, 5. I'm up to 9. So I have exceeded the 5, which means that German impulse ends. I need to replenish with 4 more cards. Okay, so I can tell you right now, next turn, I'm probably finally going to activate this core and do a move against that piece. Now remember, these were just involved in the combat, but they were pulled in by a reinforced combat tactic. They were not activated, therefore I could activate them in my next impulse. Okay, so we've exceeded the Allied command level. We brought our hand back up to 6 cards. Now we're to the Allied impulse. So we draw their next card. All right, we'll bring this one over here now. So this is the 8th Corps, specifically the 9th Armored and the 101st. The first item it says to check, is there a special event? Nothing up here says special. Next item is deploy reserves if any unit in the card's formation are in the reserve units box. It was the 8th Army, the 8th Corps, 9th Armored. If you remember, we have a day 1 or a day 16 rule. Deploy just 1 Allied reserve unit when performing the deploy reserves command. The rules will say to use the lowest numbered. Lowest numbered meaning you see this 01 and the 02. We're going to try and deploy the 01. Potentially deploy him. I'm just going to set him down by my card. Now, hopefully in the rules you covered the 8th Corps on the map. Has this band over here. And then this blue line, and below, towards me, is the deployment area for the 8th Corps. And we'll have to do some scenarios to see if he can be deployed. Again, something I readily reference, get it out here, is going to be this card. So we'll be using method A. Check units in reserve unit box using method A. And again, it's only 1 piece because it's this December 16th turn. Okay. Place a unit in a hex meeting all the following criteria. And there's some pieces intended to help with this. Let me get them out. And doing this was certainly a big help in learning. At some point, you'll kind of get a feel for looking over the map and knowing what's valid. You've got these helmets, allied position with a question mark. So I'm going to use those tiles to help here. First, check the best candidate hexes. Look for empty position in the unit's core area, able to trace allied supply. So we're looking below this line in the VIII core area. So that's basically the bottom, this line, about the bottom half of the map. It needs to be an empty position hex. So those are the hexes with the orange numbers. It needs to be able to trace allied supply. So, you know, basically can retrace on the roads from the position off the edge of the map. Yes, the allies, all these allies are fully in supply. And a German unit is proximate. What that means is a German unit right now could move to that position. Okay, so we're looking below this line, empty positions to where a German piece could move. So I'm sort of interested in where this piece could reach, which would be, and this is part of the 5th German Army. So they have their own area. He has to stay within this border. Okay. He could reach 1, 2, 3, 4. He could reach there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's next to a piece. One of these rules down below will say, finally, check, it's not adjacent to an allied unit with zone of control. So that does not have zone of control because it's dispersed. So that would be a spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be a spot. It could reach here. It could reach here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could reach there. It could reach there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. How about up here? We could reach, oh, it needs to stay below this line. So that's it. Because we sort of punctured a hole up here by eliminating a piece, these are all the position hexes in the unit's core, able to trace supply, proximate to a German unit. We need to make sure they're not in danger of surround, not in a German-held city or town. Danger of surround, that would mean if we placed him here, could all the surrounding hexes be in a German zone of control? If he was placed here, no, I would not be able to. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, this is invalid because if he was placed here, I could take this piece, break contact with 1. The road is 2, road is 3, road is 4, road is 5. I would be on this side and this side. So therefore, this spot is not eligible. This spot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could get a piece here. 1, 2. No, this would be valid because I can't surround it. So we could do this with all of these one by one. I'm gonna skip doing that. Because let's just assume all of those were valid for the moment. It's going to then say, if more than one position, do it within 3 hexes of a unit in the same division. So are any of these within a unit of the same division? That's the 28th. That's a different corps. So no. How about within 3 hexes of the same corps? Yes, because this is the same corps. 1, 2, 3. That position is within 3 hexes. These other ones, even though they might be valid, they're not within 3 positions of the same corps. So kick all those off. And that is where that piece gets deployed. Okay. And I'm going to just put all these aside. I'll do that when I stop recording. And that is it. So that's the one action we'll perform. You don't conduct all of those. You conduct the first one applicable, which was deploy reserves. It was just the one unit. Oops. This belonged there. I kicked off an IP. Okay. So that's a very good example how the rules will start to plug a gap. If they did another deploy reserve, it would probably attempt to do one right here. If we drew a card like this again, we would end up taking the other piece, just to shortcut what all those checks would be. We would check which of these are valid. That one would be, because we could reach there in 1, 2, 3, 4. So this piece could reach there. It's within 3 hexes of the same division, and that's where that would go. So again, rules make a very good way of plugging, supporting their line not being broken up. All right, I'm going to save this again and pick up with the next German impulse next time.